fortunately, we had a couple members that have some, as most of you know, some things on the way and other things. And so at the last minute, they tried to get here, but it just wasn't in the cards for them. So we decided, rather than just to close the meeting completely, send everybody home, we would at least take some questions and hopefully provide some answers. And those that signed up, again, happy to give you your 3 minutes or 4 minutes or 5 if you need it. And we just can't vote tonight, so we'll start with that. But what I'd like to do is...
Yes, Mayor, and they would also have an opportunity to speak on the 21st.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
This does not foreclose
correct
the public hearing that's going to happen.
Yeah, that'll be a full public hearing. Hopefully we'll all be here, and it'll be heard by all 7 members of the council. With that, this is the first time in my 5 years that we haven't had some interesting, but it is what it is, so we will continue to move forward. We'll start with Susan Mack. You signed up.
I did.
You do it today and do it now on the 21st.
Susan Mack, 1541 Irving Avenue. I just wanted, this was on the water increase. I know it's needed, I get it. I just wanted to remind the folks that are charged with making decisions about this, that there are folks in the community that have been hit and will be hit with a lot of increase in money. And I know too that we are trying to make up financially deficits from the past. It's probably, if we've had 10 years of not great financial management, it's probably unrealistic to think we can make it up in a couple of years. Just a thought. And I mentioned last time, if we can do something like this, I think it would help and would help the people that may have difficulty with paying the new increased bill. If there can be something on the bill that encourages folks who can help those who can't pay their bill to add extra money to their bill to help those who can't.
Okay.
So
Very good.
that's it.
And you're right, we had a little brief discussion on that, if I could real quick. And also, we offer assistance for folks who really cannot pay it. Okay, we think typically around 17 to 20 people in the community, or families, we work with on not only the water, but their taxes as well. And we get help from other monies from the state and such, but we provide some of our own as well from the town. So the idea of having a kitty, I guess, for lack of a better term, is a great idea, or a coffee fund, whatever you want to call it. So,
Well, and specifically for that purpose,
Correct.
right? Not just for the general fund,
No,
but if
not
somebody...
general fund at all, only for
Yeah.
for water or for taxes, but it's a little easier with water.
Right.
That's-
I mean, even if it's, $10 or $20 a quarter, if 10 or 20 people do that, it can help.
Yep. very
Thank
good.
you.
Thank you, Susan. Walter, you signed up for public input.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. During the fireworks display on 4th of July, I met this couple, and they were from Colorado. And I asked them, what brought you to Colonial Beach? And their answer was, they had known someone that lived in Virginia, and they were asking, they were going to be vacationing a while in Virginia, and they were asking where was the best place to watch fireworks. And this person mentioned Colonial Beach. And that's part of my conversation tonight. Now the other thing, there's something missing at the welcome sign at Washington and Colonial Avenue. And that is the town flag. It hasn't been flying for about probably 4 months. And because I ride by every day, and so we'd like to know what's going on in that regard. Secondly, I would like to thank Public Works for placing trash receptacles on the golf cart path. It has been a tremendous help up in that area. Thirdly, we are in need of benches up that way, as well as you'd be surprised the number of people that walk the point in the morning, every morning. I think the town ought to look into getting maybe some benches down at Alamo Trailer Park, as well as the bike golf cart path. Because there are a lot of people that walk from Meadows Avenue area downtown on a daily basis. Because I'm probably the heaviest golf cart user on that golf cart path. And whenever anybody that's walking, I take my neighbors to the beach, pick them up. So anyway, I guess that's the main thing is what's going on with the town flag. And I know it hasn't been flown for the last 4 months at least, because I travel this town. I start riding at 8 o'clock in the morning, and I don't go home until 9, 10 o'clock at night. And I guess the other thing is, I guess that's it, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, real quick. Walter, do you know, Walter? Hey, Walter, do you know if the people from Colorado were able to come here and see the fireworks?
They were just traveling from,
Right. Were they able to see it? Were they able to?
they absolutely were. We watched it from the town pier.
Awesome.
So,
Thank you.
and they were absolutely awesome. And also, last night's event was absolutely awesome. And I want to thank New Zion Baptist Church, which is just outside of town, for the whole support that they given us.
Food was off the hook.
And when I was coming to this meeting, the basketball court was full of kids playing tonight, and that was awesome.
Real quick, we know that we are short on recreation and things like that in the north part of town. You've heard me say that several times. We concentrated on the point over the years, and rightfully so, but we know that we need to have a park in the north end of town. A lot of, probably the lion's share of homes are in the north end of town, and certainly the kids. So that falls into the golf cart path as well. And another thing that we probably should consider at some point in time along the golf cart path is some kind of lighting, but not intrusive lighting that's going to interfere with the neighborhood. What people have now,
Both sides of it is wooded. And so just from a standpoint of safety, especially in the winter when it gets dark at 5:30, 6 o'clock, it's important to have some type of lighting out there. And so we can probably work with Dominion on that and see what kind of arrangements we can make with them. But thank you, Walter, for bringing that to our attention.
Thank you.
Jay Jarvis?
After Charles.
Oh, sure.
Just real quick, no response needed. I'd just like to kind of give you all an update on the Colonial Beach Humane Society. Some of you are familiar with it. Back in, just to backtrack, we were formed basically in 1991-92 to help with the feral cat population in Colonial Beach. Westmoreland County does not deal with cats. The law says they do not have to deal with cats, so they don't deal with cats. Surrounding counties do, but they don't. So it falls upon us private people to try to help control the cat population. Vicky's husband Larry can attest to it because he was one of our helpers to organize it. We do not have a regular shelter. We do this all on our own. We do get $500 from Westmoreland County, which I think Eric spoke last week, said we did not get anything from Westmoreland County. We do. We get $500 from Westmoreland County. And usually the town of Colonial Beach also is kind enough to give us $500, which both of those come in handy. But it's a never-ending battle. We have several colonies in town that we take care of, our own private citizens. Margaret Jones back there, we've kind of got her to help us now too. Larry helps. We do transporting by our own private cars, our own private gasoline. We don't ask for any reimbursement from anybody. I personally pay vet bills, etc. But the colonies we have about 6 colonies behind Food Line in the woods there. The nursing home, Wilkerson's Restaurant. There's another new colony on 2nd Street, just down below my house. Caldwell Banker right here. We have the Tuxedo Colony. They're black and white ones. We have that. And we take care of these animals ourselves. We have different people that go different days to feed them, to put out water, to try to provide shelter. Right now we're fighting the vultures. The vultures it gives me the creeps. They're in the trees waiting for us to come. They're down on the ground now even waiting for us. But anyway, but just kind of give you a background on that. But a female cat doesn't necessarily always does, but a female cat can go into heat every 3 to 4 weeks, which a lot of people have no concept of. And the gestation period is anywhere between 60 and 90 days, so you can figure out the math. So you can have anywhere from 1 kitten to 6 kittens. So by the time the kittens get to be 4 months old, they can also start reproducing or get impregnated. Thank goodness we've got some help in the area as far as the vets in the area, vets over in Maryland that help us. We couldn't do it without them. But it's just a never-ending battle. And a lot of people say they want us to relocate colonies. Well, anybody who's familiar with cats, you can't relocate colonies. We had trapped a male cat last year at Zetta's house on Longfellow. We had the cat staying in a house of one of our members way up behind the nursing home until the next morning when we could get it to the vet. Somehow that cat escaped from the trap. Less than 10 hours, guess where that cat was? Back at Zetta's house. So the cats, you can't take them anywhere because they come right back. And then the people say, well, take them to barns. Well, people have their own barn cats, so there's nowhere to take them. So what we try to do is trap them. We get them neutered or spayed. We get them a rabies shot. We get their ears tipped so we know if we catch them again, they've been done. We try to get them dewormed. And that's the best we can do. So we're fighting a never-ending battle. Back from December 17 to December of 18, 1 year, we did 161 cats. So you can imagine. Okay? This year, from January 19 to mid-June, we've already done 67. About half and half, 34 males, 33 females. From mid-June to mid-July, we've done another 14. So we've done 81 so far this year, so we're on track again probably to do at least 160 some again. And we're doing about half males and half females.
Pat,
So
what do jurisdictions do? I mean, I know this is, Historically, it's been going on forever.
The out is the law, if the law doesn't say they have to deal with it, they don't. Comments have been made, call Pat, call Wendy.
Right.
Wendy, if, got Wendy Ursicott over in Westmoreland Shores, most people are familiar with Wendy, she's a godsend.
When
She
you-
has her own private cats, you know, she doesn't, and even she has helped me recently take in a litter of feral kittens that had nothing, I had nowhere to take them, she said, bring them to me.
I know it's not unique to the town because there are cats everywhere across the world, obviously, but, so do we have any idea what other jurisdictions do to mitigate this
The-
kind of thing?
The best solution now is you call them, you don't even call them colonies, now you call them colonial cats. And the best thing is TNR, trap, neuter, release.
Okay.
You get them rabies shot, you get them dewormed if possible, get the ears tipped, and they usually end up controlling, the colonies end up controlling themselves. And right now, we can get some of the kittens done as little as 2 pounds, which eliminates deputy. So, anyway, so that just kind of gives you an update what's going on. So, we appreciate your help.
So are you still accepting funds for this?
Oh, yes, sir. We operate totally on donations, yes. Hell, yeah. Totally on donations, yeah. Like I said, the money we get from the county, money we hopefully get from you all every year helps, but we buy our own food, like I said, you know. And it's just, and we spend all the time, you know, setting traps, catching the cats, you know, so on and so forth. So, yeah. So we have Post Office Box 393 and everything is tax deductible.
Okay.
So we appreciate everybody's help and the help of everybody in town, the private citizens and everybody. And then, of course, the ultimate goal is we're going to probably have to talk to the legislature to try to get the law changed. So, anyway, thank you for your time.
Thank you, Patty. Thanks for everything else you do. Okay, Jay?
Jay Jarvis, 225 Boundary Street. I'd also like to thank Pat, where is she? Did Patricia run up? Is she? I picked up 2 kittens from her on June 8th and June 10th that I'm now raising in there. It's a whole new life change. Having 2 cats around the house, a 4-bedroom house and myself, 2 cats. It's fun. Got 2.5 topics tonight that I talk about. The first one, as a resident and talking for tourists, the parking and traffic flow on the 4th of July was absolutely awful. It was supposed to be a tourist town, and what we did for people coming in, parking them out at the high school, not transporting them, making them walk all the way back with kids and coolers, back to the beach and or the fireworks and or a place to eat was miserable. I saw them day and night out there walking by my place and out to the thing there. And I won't bring up the safety factor, I'll let, who was that chief, let them worry about that. For the residents, I got reservations to sit out on the terrace of the riverboat to watch the firework display and take my grandson and partner there. It was nice, except all of a sudden the flow came in. They had an empty parking lot and the waitress and waiter staff stood around all afternoon with no one in there. And then all of a sudden, 5 to 5:30 it came in. We went. We had to wait 50 minutes to chow. Had they not done that, I mean, it was ridiculous. It was ridiculous. And I felt sorry for the businesses. I spoke with the riverboat people, obviously, across the street, and they said it was just disastrous, the 4th of July for the businesses in town. I'll let the Chamber of Commerce address that, but from 2 people I spoke to, it was disastrous, and for residents, it was disastrous. And we are a tourist town, I think, or we used to be, anyhow. I think now we're turning it into a retirement community. I think that's what we're doing. The other thing I'd like to see is a little bit of visibility on the VDOT grant funding that was provided several years ago for the little pasture down on end of Colonial Avenue, but to replace the boardwalk from Colonial Avenue down to the riverboat. That is atrocious. It's atrocious. I saw a little kid the other day. He was down there with a small skateboard, and you know, with his parents on the beach, we went down there, went into one of those ruts, went down, got both of his elbows, got in there, they had to bring him over there. It's just, it's a dangerous situation, and I'd like to see some visibility on that funding, or when are you ever going to get that contract written to get it done? We've been waiting years.
Oh, yeah, at least that one, longer than
We
that.
got that grant 5 years ago.
Longer than that.
Yep.
Yeah, correct. So yeah, you got, real quick, let me address a couple of other concerns first.
The other thing I would strongly recommend, if you're gonna use the school to park tourists or people coming into visiting our town or go to our beaches, get a school bus and transport them down to the beach. Don't have them walk down the beach with a bunch of kids and poolers. That's,
Can't do it.
huh?
Can't do it.
Then don't park them way out in the middle of nowhere.
You know something? This is the first time since I've been on the council, that we didn't receive a ton of phone calls from people complaining they couldn't get out of their driveways because people were parked in their driveways. They couldn't get down the streets because both sides of the streets were blocked. And the reason it was done that way was because every single person that came into the town of Coleman Beach was asked, where are you heading? Are you going to see the fireworks? If they said yeah, then they were asked to park in one of the several lots. First was Town Hill, 260 cars, I believe, on Town Hill first. And then they infilled it up here, and then they went to the high school. If they said they were going to the riverboat, they're immediately directed to the riverboat. If they said they were going to Benson's or to Suki or any of the restaurants, Lighthouse, whatever, they were immediately directed how to get to them. Very politely, couldn't have been better from that standpoint. This is the first time we haven't had the streets blocked. Even the fire department said we actually could get to a call if we needed to. So they were very happy about that. You want to add anything to that?
No, I think the mayor summed it up very well. At the end of the day, we have, I think our estimate this year was probably around 20,000. Last year it was worse. We put that at around 35. How much can we support? I mean, how many human bodies can we support? And rational and probably from a safety perspective to do, we have to utilize the school. I think the fire department, who's in charge of parking, by the way, with the understanding that they coordinated and choreographed their operations with the VSP and with Colonial Beach as well as Westmoreland County, kept the flow of traffic very well. I did have complaints about business owners that weren't receiving the typical amount of activity between the hours of 12 and 4, and I tried to address those as best as I could. But they were, I was out there all day, and every officer that I was with was legitimately asking them, are you trying to go to a restaurant? Do you have reservations? Where are you going? I think some people were quite forthright and honest with where they were going, and they got put into those respective blocks. That being said, though, I do believe in continuous improvement. We can get better at it. Next year, we've already have a couple ideas that we want to kick around to where we had a lot of people leave this year due to the heat. Just people decided enough beach was enough and they left. And I think our backfill operations into those respective lots will make it that much more fluid as well. I think we were able to see Town Hill as well as in front of Town Hall, probably 50% of the people who initially parked there were leaving by 6 or 7 o'clock. So I think there's opportunity then to improve operations. But as we grow, we're going to have to experience those types of growing pains.
Yeah. Take that suggestion I had about transportation. If you're gonna have them park at that distance and walking with kids, it does not make sense. Provide transportation for them. You collected $10 for the park, or $20, I forget what it was. You know, get them a shuttle bus or something. And that would also get them off the beach quicker too, if you got that shuttle bus going out there, because that's a lot easier to depart from there, than walking back at night.
No, definitely, I did note it. I believe that we reached out, and I don't want to misspeak, but I'm pretty sure that we did reach out to the school. I think there's some legal issues with being able to use the school buses, but the trolley might be a possibility.
And we tried that with the bike fest.
Can't do it.
You can't use a school bus unless it's a school-related activity for insurance purposes.
So the other part of it is what you have is you have the ones that come early, you have the ones that come midday, and then you have the mad crush around 7:30, 8 o'clock, people trying to get in town to see the fireworks. And by that point in time, most everything is usually filled up. This particular time, like the manager was saying, one of the issues we had an impending storm. It looked like we were going to get a lot of lightning permit that night. As it turns out, it turned out to be perfect, it didn't happen. A lot of people left, so it was, actually, the local, the foundations and other folks had an opportunity to make a little extra money as well. And they backfilled with the ones who left, like out of the town hill line. We did talk to the Riverboat, we did talk to some other restaurant owners in town. The day of, actually, I had a phone call from a restaurant owner who wasn't happy with the way things were going. I immediately sent the town manager to their establishment. We went there within 5 minutes and spoke to them personally, one-on-one, explaining what was going on.
That
Again,
doesn't help business.
Hang on a second,
You know,
hang on a
that,
second.
the
The other
bottom
thing
line
is-
is, that's a big weekend. I know we all strive for Bike Week.
It's really not a big business weekend in terms of restaurants. It's just not. Because here's why. As a restaurant owner who had a restaurant for 3 years here and overstaffed and overbought in food for the first 4th of July, only realized people at home on 4th of July, people go home and barbecue and do things in their own backyards. They typically don't go out to eat on 4th of July. You can read about that, you can Google that, do anything you want. It's not a big deal. Now, places like the brewery where the guys will run off maybe throwing horseshoes or cornhole or girls too and have a beer or something like that, that happens, but typically they stay at home and do fireworks film and watch fireworks forever. But so, I mean, I get it. From a safety standpoint, you had state police, sheriff's department, and town police. They met previously to this, they set up their program, how they want to do it. We don't really tell them yay or nay. From that standpoint, the safety is paramount no matter what money we lose or whatever, the businesses lose, safety is paramount always. And the fire department, year after year after year, has said, look, we cannot get to the point, to the dockside. This year they can get to dockside, as could anybody who came in this town and rolled down the window and said, we were going to dockside, and they were given instructions, directions on how to get there. And for years, the fire department would put a fireboat up at my place because they couldn't get to it down there. So I know that what we've been going through on this, and it's been tough, and we're trying to get a right balance, and we'll do better next year, I think. Probably communicating with the businesses way ahead of time, and explaining them what the intention is, what we want to do. We'll probably get out ahead of it, and hopefully, we won't have this kind of issue again arise. But,
Well, I'm happy you're all happy with it, so.
well, I'm not all happy with it. I know we can do better. We can always do better. That's the great thing about the town. The town just gets better and better every day.
And don't forget our boardwalk, we still need work done on that.
Yeah, I think the ground's getting ready to be broken on that, so.
Yeah, we actually had bid openings on Wednesday. We were reviewing the bids and the tallies. We anticipate putting forth the VDOT. They have to approve of the low bid and approve the contractor. So we anticipate that over the next week and receiving the notice of receipt from them, at which point it will be issued to the contractor, hopefully to start within 10 days of notice to proceed.
And I'll just speak real quick on that before Steve, well, let Steve speak. Do you want to?
Yeah, real quick.
Yeah, please.
Just want to piggyback off what Mr. Jarvis said. My time on council, we've seen these crowds grow over the years. And
Right.
each year, it's other issues, and you can't predict each one.
Right.
I think what happened this year, and I heard him speak, is I think maybe next year we can look at who does best practices. What do other places do? And the first one that comes to mind is Urbana, the Oyster Festival. Smaller place, a lot more people, but they get the people in and out pretty good. Well, I've been down there before, and probably most people here, if they have, they might go. But when you talk about 100,000 people a day, potentially down there, they have a way to do that. And my suggestion is maybe look at best practices and look at they
Sure, sure.
But,
Yeah,
there was a lot of people, but
Right.
we've seen as many as 25 to 30,000 people coming here, don't know where to put it.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
They'll fight to
I
do it.
actually tend to let law enforcement do their thing. They're trained in that area for the most part, and especially the VSP and the sheriffs in the town, they've been through it here. I don't know, I haven't been to Urbana in years. Is Urbana a dead end like we are?
Yeah, it's dead end, and I think they have like A-Rise, things
Gotcha.
back and
Sure.
forth,
Sure.
things like that. Things
Okay.
that are safe.
It's been a long time,
Something you
yeah.
can do.
Okay.
Yeah, just a suggestion.
Part two is real quick about the boardwalk down there, the grant and all that stuff. If you remember, this has been going on forever, even before my time on the council, but, so it all came to fruition one time before, where the architects did all their stuff, everybody did what they were supposed to do. They told us what it was gonna cost us to do it, but what they didn't tell was the people who had to bid on it, what it was gonna cost to do it. And so, unfortunately, when you have a $575,000 project, or whatever it was, $675, and your closest bid's $1,025,000, then you're off the mark quite a bit. So this time, as most everybody is aware, if you're not, we've scaled this thing way back. It should be within the guidelines of the bids. There shouldn't be that much separation between the two, and we should have something down there in the very near future. So, and maybe even those statues will end up down there. Those statues, the haunting statues from, I think, 2013 or 14 or 12 or whatever. So, but anyway, yes.
Can I just
Sure.
address something from the chamber
Sure.
regarding 4th of July? The chamber's been in touch with the Westmoreland County Police and our police, and there's going to be, I understand, an after-action meeting that will include some of the businesses that had concerned the chamber, town, etc. So I want you to know it's not just a dead issue. There's always room for improvement on things. We hear what the concerns are. Safety is the ultimate issue, but maybe there's some room for improvement in this as well.
Amen. Thank you, Susan. Come on up. Gene?
Jean Connerty, 207 Road. The car club holds a picnic on July 4th in the community centre. The only complaint I got, and it was a lot of it, is being stopped. About 30 of our members said they were stopped everywhere coming in. In fact, some of them turned around and went back because their old cars overheat. Good visible signs giving directions to parking lots might be better, you know, rather than stop people because they were going nuts. I have a quick question about water. We have a lot of residents that go to Florida during the winter. If they turn their water off, I was looking to see if it was in the package, are they going to be charged because they won't be using water, or what happens in that case? Or is there a minimum charge?
Yes, Ms. Carnegie, I think you were absent when we had Mr. Donahue in and give a presentation on water. And he gave a great analogy to where if you have a mortgage and you decide to go on vacation for 3 months, you still pay your mortgage.
Right.
And that's kind of the way our water operations work. You're paying basically for the ability and the access to the water for that time.
But like, just the set price for the month you're going to be gone if you're not using, because you're not using sewage either.
No, you're not using sewage, but again, it's, you can have a house vacant, but you still have to pay the mortgage bill.
It's not quite the same thing. I'm sorry,
But
absolutely.
no, they'll have to pay while they're not here. Now, once we go to the meter, which is probably less than a year away, or around a year away, you're going to have less usage. Means less money, but there's going to be a minimum.
There'll be a minimum charge.
There's going to be a minimum charge, but Mr. Donahue, who's with the company who's helping us facilitate and set those rates, didn't want to give any misgivings that anybody's water bill is most likely not going to go down.
And
I'm just curious.
Yeah.
Thank you.
right now, it looks like it's gonna go from $235 a quarter to $305 a quarter.
Okay.
So that's $70, I think, a quarter.
Yeah, I
So
was
it's
just
split
wondering
over
about
3
those
months.
that are not using the service, would they?
Right, I know.
I couldn't find it in the packet.
At one time, we
You
had a
might
thing
make that
where
known.
we would turn it back on but it costs money. So, anyway, that's where we stand right now.
Okay.
And,
I was just curious.
Now, a couple of things that we're working from a town perspective is we realize every 3 months, nobody, and I like to think that I'm pretty budget conscious. I forget. What I would like to see happen moving forward is to where it can be a monthly, and we're trying to electronically get it to where it can auto come out of the account, because I think it's easier for the average person just to budget the monthly versus the 3-month. So we're looking at what we can do, and of course, we're gonna offer the same discounts for the people who are truly economically challenged. That exists as well. So we're trying to make it a little user-friendly from the town side of how the payment goes, just to kind of make it a little bit more fluid for you. But chemicals go up, the treatment costs go up, it's inflation.
Oh, I understand that, I was
I love
just
what we do.
wondering how you were gonna hand it for those that go out of town for 3 months.
Yeah, pretty much the same.
Pretty much the same. Okay,
You know, hopefully one day,
it'll change.
hopefully one day, if our numbers grow, you know, that's what happens is shared use.
Mhm.
Actually, as the numbers grow, then the cost goes down. You gotta remember something else, and this is important. None of that money goes into the general fund. That money only goes back into water and sewer. It can't be spent for anything else, so it's handles itself. And again, I'll say it again, I get tired of hearing me say it, but, you know, we waited a very long time to make these improvements that needed to be improved, and so now we're paying for it.
Thank you,
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Marty Long, live over at 15 Virginia Avenue. It's
Marty?
not a question of getting into anything on that end of the boardwalk, just a brief plea for help on the beach side between Colonial and Maryland. We used to have a little weed there, but now there are stalks 2 and 3 feet high. They're just an eyesore.
Okay.
They could probably be cleaned up in no time. I just was gonna ask if we could get a little help on that,
Okay.
just to clean that up, to not look so bad. I would appreciate it.
Okay.
That's it.
That sounds like something we can probably get to.
And appreciate it. Thanks.
Thank you, Marty. Come on up.
Well, if I'm offered a chance to the pulpit, I'm going to take it. My name is Robert Christensen. I live on Washington Avenue within easy walking distance of here. Mr. Mayor, Your Honor, Ms. Roberson, and Mr. I, thank you for being here tonight. I particularly want to thank you, Mr. Mayor, for your comments before the ribbon cutting at Torrey Smith Park yesterday. I thought they were very well written, very well presented, and appropriate. I especially like what you said about this is only the beginning. I don't think you, or I don't know for sure that you used the word progress, but that's the way I like to interpret what you said. I think that this example of Torrey Smith Park is definitely an example of what can be done in this town. I was especially struck by the fact that probably more got at least visibly done in the last 7 days than in the previous 7 months. And I can only presume that that might have happened because nobody wanted to be the person who didn't come through, you know. But again, it's just an example that we can get things done in this town, you know. There's a lot to be done, and everybody knows that. And it's not going to happen overnight. Everybody knows that. But it can be done. And we've got to stop whining about not enough money. We need to use our intelligence to find the resources that are available to get things done. No more just whack-a-mole, as our town manager likes to use the expression. But get to the big stuff and get it planned and get it done. Again, it's something that we can do. Speaking of resources, you are our leaders, but you're not alone. Both the town and the town council, that you're our leaders, but you're not alone. I know that the people behind me didn't come here just to complain. They came here to support. And we've seen the results of the kind of support that the community can give. Let's keep on.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Christensen, for those kind words. Also, so the analogy I like to use when you're playing golf, it doesn't matter how the ball gets in the hole. You just try to get it in the hole. And that's what we're trying to do. So, yeah, exactly. So, but I can tell you, it's so obvious that I say it over and over again, since I've been here and since I was raised here as a little kid, it's always been the action of the citizens who have stepped up and made things that were out of financial reach happen. And so it hasn't changed in my 59 years. That has not changed at all. And again, I talk about the North Star, and we're getting closer and closer to that, and it's in sight. And it truly is. And we've got a lot of good things coming our way. We got dog parks that will come to fruition eventually. We've got the end of the boardwalk that will come to fruition eventually. Torrey Smith came to fruition, and has more. We have more to do there. We have a lot of things in the works. We haven't built out the town yet. The town still has 400 lots in a number of streets. We have 700 lots across from Wilkerson's. When that happens, that's going to it's going to be a game changer. That's going to change the dynamics of the town. Think of that many more homes in this town. It's going to stress some resources, but it's also going to create some new opportunities for us. So we really need to be prepared for that as well. The downtown area here, I don't know why we're not getting more response to the sales of some of these properties down there. And I know a little bit wanting to sell, not wanting to sell, different things, maybe not being as responsive as we should have been in the past. But at the same time, I would have thought we had people knocking on the door all the time saying, I'd like to get this old property down there, especially the old bank building, the old town offices there. That's a wonderful piece of property. I mean, exceptional for many different uses. The old police station, of course, is going to become an Italian restaurant here, hopefully, in the very near future. And so we have a couple vacant lots on the boardwalk side that can be infilled with properties and add to the stuff. We did build a nice bathhouse down there. Riverboat, if you haven't seen, put new awnings up. Thank God, it looks beautiful. And kudos to Riverboat, really. I mean, that's a lot. I mean, that's a lot of money to do that. And they did it. They stepped up and did it. And so, it does take a village. It's taken time. But I think all of us are learning that if we stick with it, stay with it, don't quit on it, that it will happen and it can happen. I think that's probably the important lesson for all of us here. And, people like Steve Swope, and I could name 100 people in this town that are so instrumental, but their heart is in this town, they're driving forces. We sit up here, we don't do this for the money. We don't know that. I will tell you, a lot of you probably don't know this, but we get $138 a month to be on council. So I spend more than that in gas and ink and paper at home to do this. So we don't do this for the money. We do this for the love of the community, to help direct it, to help hopefully keep it going. And that's why there's nothing else in it for us, that's for sure. We kind of take a beating a lot of times, but it's all part of the sports. When you sign up for this, that's what happens. Going into it. But without you folks out there, we couldn't do it. Right now, Colonial Beach, I think, has more representation, social media, magazines. Everywhere I go, I run into new people who have heard about us somewhere now. Where before, you had to know somebody that knew this place or kind of got lost and got here some way. We have people from foreign countries coming out here to stay now. I own Airbnb. It's full every weekend, even in the winter now. It's awesome. The people we're meeting, the new boaters that are coming down into the town, staying at the marinas. The sky's the limit for us right now. We just have to keep a good show going on and do what's right. We got to take care of our community as well first. That's most importantly, taking care of the core of this community, which is the people who live here and the property owners in this town that have property here. And when we do that, the rest of it will become easy. So That's just my take. Anybody else?
Can I just back up on what you said?
Sure.
Last night after I'd gotten home, dripping wet, obviously, like everybody else from the rec park, I sat there and thought, I sent a text to Steve and told him what an awesome job he had done. And we go way back on his yellow pad, and I told him he could keep his yellow pad because he was well known for on and on and on and on.
Used to be the bear club.
Yeah, well, see, that too, yes. So, but I sat there and I thought, in 1988, we opened a new high school. One was desperately needed to bring it up to date and so that the kids could have the modern things that they had. Then the elementary school came along and this community did that. And now we have the park, and you think about the people who have come in to start the art guild and to do the plays that are offered to us, the restaurants we have now, coffee shops, we don't have one, we have two of those. All the things the nonprofits do to get people to come into this town, and being the oldest of this group now, and having lived here for over 4 decades, it's been an awesome process to be part of. And you can see how that has just grown, and people continue to want to be a part of it. So we really do a lot of things for a small community, and I think that it just seems to get closer and closer, and more thoughts go out to the different things that we can do. So, my 2 cents is good.
And of course, our chamber does an enormous job.
Oh,
I mean,
tremendous.
It is gone crazy. It's awesome. Very successful. And it's funny because Steve Swope and Rocky Denson were lifeguards on the beach when I was a kid. And they used to raise hell with me. Man, they were, now I get them back a little bit, so that's good. Yeah. But those were the days. And, you know, Dr. Farney, who's huge with the foundation. You got Eric, who stepped in and done it. You got all of them. I mean, I could go on and on and on. All of you. You got Bob with the plays. And, you know, if you ever told me we were going to have theater on the beach, I'd say you're crazy. You know, the last one we had was a movie theater, and it burned down when they were playing Reefer Madness, I think it was.
Seems to be very
Anyway, but, you know, it's, again, it's most of the time, 99% of the time, it's a total enjoyment to be mayor of this town. So, because I do get to see the change, and I do get to see how appreciative most people are, and how much they enjoy the town. We're not without our problems, listen, everybody knows that. But we can work on those each and every day, and I think we do for the most part, so. Any other questions? Please, now's a great time, you got us on the open here. Well, if that's it, I'm gonna go home and have dinner with my wife. Yeah.
Are you not doing the reports?
No, ma'am, this isn't a meeting, we don't have a forum.
No. Could I do a report?
You can, please, come on up. Yeah, please. You bet.
I'm sorry, I misunderstood.
No, ma'am.
I'm Joyce Leimer, and representing downtown Colonial Beach. And we had asked the council about presenting tonight to provide further information and response to questions regarding the historic district certification for downtown Colonial Beach. Now, downtown Colonial Beach, our mission is the beautification and preservation-based development of our downtown and commercial districts. And towards that end, we're working towards state and federal certification of a historic district in our downtown commercial district. There's an executive summary of points on the paperwork you're being distributed. Certification of a state and federal historic district for the Colonial Beach downtown could help advance both beautification and business development goals for our downtown. Placement on the state and national register of historic districts will contribute to tourism marketing, especially heritage tourism, that could attract visitors year-round. It's very important to emphasize that the type of historic district we are proposing places no restrictions on property owners' use of their property. There is a lot of confusion about this issue, and I provided the council, and I have circulated out among the audience this chart, which is a comparison of 4 types of historic districts, and we are going for the National Register Historic District and the Virginia Landmarks Register Historic District. And there are no restrictions on property owners in those 2 categories. Where there are restrictions is when you have a locally designated historic site, as in Alexandria or Richmond, and people tend to lump things together and think all historic districts are like that. Those communities have locally designated historic districts. They have set up zoning guidelines, design guidelines, and they have an architectural review board that people must go through to make any changes. That's not what we're talking about at all. Historic district certification confers financial benefits in the form of tax credits, particularly when the property is going to be an income-producing property, which might attract additional businesses to downtown. That's where you start seeing more substantial tax credits. And it may seem like the 25% or the 20% doesn't seem very much, but it's difficult to get into this. But those are minimum. You must have a minimum of, say, 25% of the building's value for the state credits. But there is no maximum. I checked on this. So if you were doing a $500,000 building and you get a 25% state tax credit, I mean, you could spend $400,000 and between the two, get quite a bit of tax credits off of that, but that's really for accountants and the people for whom historic restoration is in their business plan. The costs of this, for us pursuing this, are nothing for the town. Downtown Colonial Beach is committed to raising the $4,000 to $7,000 that we need to be raised to do the match for a cost-sharing grant. And then there is no work for the town because the Department of Historic Resources takes it from that point. They do all the surveying necessary and they prepare the nomination packet. I talked to the head of that program yesterday and I said, what are our chances of getting this? And he said, very, very good. You guys have started early in working on this. And we're taking every opportunity that we can to get out information about this to the public, and we'll want to be holding other hearings, but it's very important that the council and town government understand the potential value of this. They have been working on this, getting this, since 1991. Nearly 2 decades. The first application to make us eligible was in 1991, but I think it may even go back further. A later one in 2016. So this town government, this town council, you could really be the heroes that finally get this done. And our fundraising campaign for the district in and of itself is going to help showcase Colonial Beach to a broad range of development professionals and investors. May I add that a developer wants to meet with myself and Jim Bell, the previous president, next week to talk about the bank building. We're also going to be marketing heavily to the contractors around Dahlgren and making the case that if they bring employees in to look at that grim, drab area around Dahlgren, it's not going to be very attractive to the kind of employees they're trying to recruit. But if they bring them to Colonial Beach and take them to the restaurants and show them this quaint small town and the beach and all the cultural activities and the music and the brew pub, we feel that those contractors may well have a vested interest in our success. I think employees they're trying to recruit are much more likely to be interested if they have a nice place to live, and Colonial Beach can be that. Now, in the process of attracting developers, because we'd be reaching out to the historic restoration developers, and as the word gets out that Colonial Beach is going for a cost-sharing grant to get the historic district certification, that very well could attract other developers looking into our town, especially because we have this remarkable coincidence of several things happening at once. And some developers are going to recognize the potential in this. The historic district certification, sale of town properties, and sale of private properties that have historic value. And you've got that all coming together potentially at the same time. So I know you're concerned about selling the properties, but I would encourage you to think about development
Can I ask a
of the
question?
property. Sure.
What can we do to educate our local developers, the ones already in town, to where they can become historical certified contractors? I know that there's certain things you have to do.
Well,
but
there-
Can we, as part of this process, can you reach out to them as well?
Yes.
We have some really good home builders in this town, we have some great contractors, and what a great opportunity to bring them in the fold so that we're not just bringing people in from outside to do contracting work, we're actually take care of our own in town.
Well, actually, actually meant that we're talking to those local developers too. But the Department of Historic Resources has offered to come in to do a special education and training session for the contractors and building professionals in this community, and the accountants and the lawyers and other people that may get involved with this. One final adage I'd like to bring up. When I was putting myself through waitressing, through graduate school waitressing, the senior waitresses used to say to us, don't overlook those quick quarters while you're going for the big bucks. This was at a French restaurant. I want to flip that on its head, okay? Flip that over. Don't overlook the possibility of big bucks while you're trying to go for the quick quarters. This could be a real feather in the cap of Colonial Beach. It could be a feather in the cap of the council and all the town government people who are working on this. Downtown Colonial Beach is a Main Street, Virginia Main Street affiliate. We would very much like to collaborate with the town government council and management to really do what we can, and I think a lot can be done with vision and imagination to develop what is in the downtown now, rather than just sell it. Okay,
Thank you, Joyce.
you're welcome.
Yeah, thanks for explaining that. Also, if you guys don't know, there's a...
This is John Gilstrap, he writes military novels, he'll be here for Saturday as well, but he's right next door.
Yeah, sign books right now, so just as a side note, another cool thing, I think, what, a week or so ago, we had another writer here, right? What was her name? Okay. Yeah, Peggy Dorr. Yeah.
Who used to be the county. She was years ago. Yeah,
Yeah.
county attorney.
Yeah. Okay, well, I think that's it, ladies. Yeah, one more, Susan?
She's insisting I have to talk about Saturday.
Yeah, okay.
Susan Mack knows what she's talking about. So. I just wanted to remind everybody that this Saturday we do have the World War I and World War II Commemoration Day event. We're very excited about it. I'm very excited about it. There are a lot of really, what I would call very honorable things coming to town. We have the Silent Drill Platoon from Marine Corps, Marine Barracks in DC. We have the Quantico Marine Corps Brass Quintet coming. We've got 2 Virginia State Senators and 1 U.S. Congressman who's coming. There's a World War II plane flyover. There's going to be a World War II plane on display. The Commemorative Air Force is going to have their PX unit here, which is a giant trailer that makes dog tags. The U.S. Navy Ceremonial Guard is going to be here. So, we hope that everybody takes some time. I know it's going to be hot. Bring your umbrellas, bring your little hand fans. But the event starts at 9:30 in the morning on Small Town Hill. And that's where we're going to be recognizing one of the 2 World War II veterans that are going to be joining us for the event. So we're very excited. And then in the evening, of course, we have another World War II veteran who's going to be joining us for a 1940s USO-style dance at the Riverboat. The Fredericksburg Big Band is an 11-piece big band who's going to be performing, and we have professional swing dancers who are going to be doing performances and giving lessons. The Riverboat is going to be decorated USO style. So again, and that's a fundraiser for our 3 nonprofit partners, which are the American Legion, Military Officers Association of America, and Dahlgren Heritage Museum. So we hope to see you.
All right, we'll wrap it up. Thank you so much. Listen, I apologize on behalf of the council, those that couldn't be here. But I'm glad we had the opportunity to at least talk, and I think it was good. Maybe we need to do these kind of open style more and more often. Yeah, I think it's awesome. Yeah. Thank you, guys.